Wreck Poop Cruise. So funny.
Hilarious.
On Netflix. It's going to churn your stomach a little bit, but it is funny. And then Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything.
I really learned a lot about Barbara watching that.
All right, don't forget, next week, 2 movie shows. We'll be on Thursday from 11 to 1, and we will be on Friday as well from 11 to 1. We'll be live at Fat Cats in Bluffdale next Friday, so you can come check us out on either day. And Jurassic World is going to debut on Wednesday. So big movies are hitting Wednesday. We'll talk about them Thursday, Friday.
Perfect.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Birthright citizenship still alive for now, but the court limiting the power of federal judges.
This creates a whole new monster we believe is going to bottleneck things even worse. And to get the check and balances from the court to the other branches of government is going to be even more difficult now.
The time is 1 o'clock on Friday, June 27th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, special coverage of the High Court's ruling from legal and political experts. Also this hour,
these are ways that we can express our love and our respect to him.
Out of tragedy, light and love for Afa Alu. But first, our top stories. 3 people were injured and one had to be taken to a trauma center after an F-150 went barreling through a barber shop in American Fork this morning. This happened at Anvil Barber Company at 52 East and Main Street.
The vehicle completely buried into the building. It actually was not visible from the outside when we arrived.
Brandon Beauchard with American Fork Fire says the crash caused a gas leak, so they had to call in a hazmat team. No word yet on why the truck drove through the brick building. Our top national story from ABC News. President Trump says he is done negotiating with Canada and trade talks are over. In a Truth Social post this afternoon, Mr. Trump wrote that this decision is due to Canada's tariffs on our dairy products and a newly announced digital service tax. He says he will announce a new tariff rate against that country soon. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are rushing to get Mr. Trump's big, beautiful bill passed before Independence Day. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more from D.C.
We already heard Speaker Mike Johnson say earlier today that it would be, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it would be a disappointment, but he could see a world in which the work on this bill is going to slide to after the 4th of July. That is the exact opposite of what President Trump wants. He said he wants lawmakers to stay. He wants them to work the weekend. He wants them to work into next week, even though the July 4th holiday is sacrosanct on Capitol Hill because lawmakers can go back into their various districts and march in parades and things of that nature.
Lawmakers have been forced to make last-minute changes after Senate officials rejected changes to Medicaid. Other national stories KSL is following. NASA is answering what mysterious fireballs were that streaked over Atlanta and much of the South yesterday.
Whoa, see that?
Reactions caught on dashcam as fireballs went streaking across a bright blue sky on Thursday afternoon. They were seen and heard as loud booms over much of the southeast. Those who saw them saying,
really cool to see, but just definitely out the ordinary.
Today, NASA saying it was a meteor moving at 30,000 miles an hour. It disintegrated into smaller fireballs 27 miles above West Forest, Georgia, unleashing the power of about 20 tons of TNT. That created the booms heard. Pieces of it even pierced like bullets into a Georgia home. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up by 215 points. That's about 0.5%, sitting at 43,602. The S&P is flat at this hour. The NASDAQ is down by 50 points. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Thanks, Maria. I'm looking at a live shot of I-84. We do have a crash that is at the Mountain Green area. I just had a KSL traffic trooper asking if they're letting traffic through to get to Echo. It looks like yes, they are, but we see miles of delays going through that area. For drivers on I-15, looking pretty good, just a little bit of slowing as you're making your way into downtown. And then, of course, the ongoing construction delays, Kaysville into Farmington. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more, advancedwindows.com. Affordable windows guaranteed. I'm Michelle Rowe in the Kaysville Traffic Center.
The thermometer headed to a high of 95 today. Much the same for Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we had hoped for a bit of a change with the chance of showers, but Monday looks like 99, that chance of showers coming on Tuesday. 90 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
You've built the dream, the home, the lifestyle, the legacy. Now it's time your windows and doors reflect that same $1 million standard. Whether you're designing a stunning custom home or upgrading the one you've loved for years, Peach Doors and Windows is here to bring that vision to life with precision, style, and craftsmanship.
The Peach specialty? High-end custom windows and doors that don't just fit your space, they elevate it. From sleek modern lines to timeless elegant finishes, they offer the kinds of craftsmanship that truly complements a $1 million space. And with Peach, the process is easy. No pressure, no gimmicks, just knowledgeable experts helping you find solutions to turn your someday project into right now.
Visit their spacious showroom, get inspired, and create something beautiful together. Peach Doors and Windows for the $1 million home you live in and the $1 million feeling you deserve. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 today.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
The future of birthright citizenship still in the air today. The Supreme Court punting on the issue while also stressing that federal district judges cannot overrule the president on a national level. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The High Court issued several rulings this morning, ranging from issues dealing with the judiciary, parental rights, and health care. The president reacting positively to the rulings.
This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law. This was a big one, wasn't it? This was a big decision. An amazing decision, one that we're very happy about.
Attorney General Pam Bondi echoing the president's reaction while also talking a bit about the limitations now placed on federal district judges.
If there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire country. Americans are finally getting what they voted for. No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies across the entire nation. No longer.
Let's now bring in KSL legal analyst and co-host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas, to go more in-depth on the ruling affecting the judiciary and what many were calling the birthright citizenship case. So, Greg, this was the birthright citizenship case, but they didn't rule on the legality of birthright citizenship.
That's right. And I know people have said they punted on the issue or whatever, but they weren't actually asked to address the birthright citizenship issue. The whole question before the court was, to what extent can judges set aside executive orders, and can they make those what they call universal injunction? In other words, the president issues an executive order. A judge in a certain jurisdiction says, wait a minute, this is not constitutional. I'm going to set it aside. How does that affect the rest of the country? And so judges have said, well, we don't want inconsistent decisions, so our ruling is going to be universal. It's going to be for the entire country. And the Supreme Court said today, no, judges can't do that. They can only rule, like you said a minute ago, or I guess what Pam Bondi said a minute ago, which is within their own jurisdiction. So these injunctions that are issued by federal courts only apply to the federal district, the state where they reside.
Mm-hmm. So the Attorney General using the word rogue judges. Talk a little bit about how this changes the power, or the extent of the power of judges.
Really not at all, except that they need to stay in their lane, I guess. And that is, if you're a Utah judge and you have a problem with a federal decision, you can issue an injunction or stop the federal decision, but it will only apply to Utah. The problem with it, Maria, is that there's a chance that you'll get different decisions throughout the country, and different judges will say different things. I think some judges said we're trying to avoid that by having these universal injunctions instead of having 50 different decisions. But the Supreme Court said, no, you can't have what's called a universal nationwide injunction.
In her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said that the government's rush to limit nationwide injunctions disregards basic principles of equity as well as the long history of injunctive relief granted to non-parties. So this ruling doesn't eliminate injunctions, right? It just limits them.
Yeah, that's true, and I can understand the frustration. I think that the dissent also said, why don't we just address the constitutionality of the birthright citizenship ban? Because it's so patently unconstitutional. Why avoid the issue anyway? Let's just cut to the chase, because that's really the important part here. Was the presidential executive order striking birthright citizenship for certain individuals unconstitutional? That'll be addressed probably at the next session in October. But in the meantime, yeah, judges issuing injunctions have to not make them universal for the entire country. And that is a bit of a change from what we've been doing in the past with our federal courts.
Okay, and this doesn't just affect this case, the birthright citizenship case, but it affects all sorts of cases, right?
Right. As it relates to judicial intervention and injunctions on executive orders, yes, it limits what a judge can do to his or her general jurisdiction, and it won't really go much further beyond that.
Does the ruling also mean that only the Supreme Court can check the president's power?
No, judges can still do it, and they will do it, and these injunctions will stay in place. So if a judge says, no, you can't do that in Oregon, then the executive order, the president's order, doesn't apply in Oregon, if that makes sense. What a judge can't do is say, I'm an Oregon judge, and that law doesn't affect Utah. The judge can't make it sort of national and across state lines. Judges have to limit their decisions to the people that they serve.
So, Greg, do you expect this to become more of a new kind of monster in terms of the number of cases now, since people have to sue for relief in their own districts in order to be effective?
Yes, and that goes back to what you said a minute ago, Maria, with the dissent, saying we've kind of opened a Pandora's box here. So it seems that anytime a woman is pregnant with a child that was born to undocumented parents and wants to establish citizenship for that child, they're going to have to file an injunction of the executive order and say, hey, you can't deny citizenship because the 14th Amendment provides it. And we'll have judges all over the country weighing in on whether and to what extent that executive order is the law of the land going forward.
All right. It was a complicated matter. Thanks for giving us your analysis. That is KSL legal analyst and co-host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas. And remember, you can hear Greg give these kinds of legal analyses and much more each weekday from 9 to noon right here on KSL News Radio. Still at large, the future of birthright citizenship. In just 60 seconds, we'll dig into that one more time with an immigration attorney. Stay with us.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. I hope she's not listening, but I once heard a divisional leader announce in a corporate meeting that she was outraged and would no longer share information with a colleague. She expected us to do everything we could to make that person fail. The media tells us that outrage is an appropriate reaction to the misbehavior of others. Marketers leverage outrage to get you to buy something you don't need. Managers use outrage to get you to do something you shouldn't do. The media uses it to gain a wider audience because they know through experience and research that you're more likely to believe the worst than the best. But outrage triggers the body's stress response, releasing cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, it can contribute to issues such as anxiety, depression, and high blood pressure, and is contagious. There is never a time when outrage is appropriate. Learn more about how to build collaboration in an MBA program at Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Throughout the country, there is some confusion now on the status and the future of birthright citizenship as defined in the 14th Amendment. What does today's ruling actually mean for birthright citizenship? I spoke to local immigration attorney Carlos Trujillo to get his thoughts on what he's hearing from his clients. First of all, give me your reaction to what happened today with the Supreme Court.
Well, the main problem that I have with today's decision, it doesn't really clearly address to the community what is actually being decided. And that's why I love the fact that I'm with you today, Maria, because people need to understand that today's ruling has nothing to do with birthright citizenship. Has nothing to do with birthright citizenship. The bottom line case, it was about birthright citizenship, but today's decision is about nationwide injunctions. They just happen to use that case, but it is confusing a lot of the community. We have received a lot of phone calls already of people very concerned about this. But we're trying to kind of set the record straight so that people can actually understand what is happening.
Right. So let's set the record straight. What does this mean for those folks who do have birthright citizenship right now?
So as of right now, if you were in the country illegally and you have a child that was born, they still maintain U.S. citizenship. If you are delivering a baby tomorrow, that baby will still have U.S. citizenship. The only thing that is changing, and we're going to see these rather quick, that I would say that in the next 7 days, you're going to see new lawsuits abiding what the Supreme Court have established today so that they can stop what President Trump is trying to do. So all that they say, the Supreme Court said today is, we don't want to see nationwide injunctions. So if you want an injunction on birthright citizenship, there are ways to do it, and they described it, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see those within a week, and therefore this is not going to be taking place in the next 30 days.
So does that mean that states can all have a different kind of rule when it comes to birthright citizenship? Or I'm confused.
It is something that it makes no sense whatsoever, but this is what they're saying. Either each state is going to have their own lawsuit, okay, which can lead to exactly what you were just mentioned, a whole lot of confusion because different states having different standards. Or they're saying that there could be some nationwide injunctions, but they're going to have to be done under lawsuits that are different, okay? They have to be lawsuits that are under the class action lawsuits to be able to cover nationwide. So a lot of the decision that everybody's hearing today is just a change on procedure. People need to know that what we heard today from the Supreme Court is not about birthright, it's about procedure and how did you go about it when you want to stop a president's executive order or an overreach by Congress. Today's ruling gives you a roadmap. But I'll be honest with you, from the colleagues that I've been able to talk to, this changes almost everything that we knew of as far as federal litigation. This creates a whole new monster that we believe is going to bottleneck things even worse. And to get the check and balances from the court to the other branches of government is going to be even more difficult now.
Do you expect this issue, the birthright citizenship issue, to be back before the Supreme Court?
It will, most definitely, because today's ruling did not touch on anything in regards to its legality, constitutionality, or anything like that. So all that is going to happen now is The Supreme Court said those lawsuits that are against this, the injunction is going to be narrow. If anybody else wants to sue, they need to sue according to our new rules. And then we will probably finally get to the point of, is it constitutional or not? And from my point of view, as a lawyer, it is not constitutional. It is well settled, and it shouldn't go any further. And we should see a decision on that probably on the next term for the Supreme Court.
You mentioned that you're already hearing from clients. What are you hearing from these people?
So the main concern of the community, the messages that we have received is, oh, so my kid will not be a U.S. citizen, or are they taking away the citizenship of my children? Those are the main two questions that we are receiving after this thing came out, and we are trying to address it with news outlets and social media that no, none of that is happening. There has been no change in birthright citizenship today, and we don't see any changes coming even in the near future. So everything is going to continue. Lawsuits against this executive action will increase because they have to abide, these new lawsuits will have to abide under the new instructions of the Supreme Court. But that's it. There's no other changes.
That is immigration attorney Carlos Trujillo. After the break, we'll spend more time on this Supreme Court ruling, digging into the political effects of it all. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Michelle?
Just a heads up for drivers, Maria, looking at a pretty backed up situation. This is for drivers making their way eastbound on I-80. This is way out on the east side. This is a little past Emory, headed toward the Utah-Wyoming border, but it is miles of slowdowns, and I don't have a cause for that yet, but just something to be aware of. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something?
Boat wins!
Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing?
Boat wins!
Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing?
Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are continuing our special coverage of today's Supreme Court rulings. Joining me now is a voice that you are familiar with, political and legal insider Aaron Ryder. Aaron, thanks for being with me.
Maria, it's so fun to be with you today. Thanks for having me.
So are you surprised by any of the Supreme Court rulings today?
You know, not really. Like, when you really think about it, no. I think that particularly about birthright citizenship, you've already been talking about that on the show. Had they been going after the question of birthright citizenship itself, I think that this ruling would be surprising, but they weren't. They were just talking injunctions. And from a legal standpoint, from a constitutional standpoint, I'm not surprised that these are the rulings they came out with.
So what is your take on those?
Yeah, so, if you look at the birthright citizenship case, the way that our courts are designed in the United States, the way the Constitution lays them out, is that courts are supposed to decide the issues before them, and then when conflicts arise between the courts, you move it up a level. And so, you have an issue that someone's facing in Massachusetts. Well, the court in Massachusetts should decide that issue based on the plaintiffs and the defendants who are before them. And if a court in Massachusetts and a court in Utah decides two different things on the same issue, then that's room to take it out to the Supreme Court and say, hey, these two courts are equally important in terms of the Constitution. You need to decide which one is right. So to have a court in one state issuing a nationwide injunction on an issue for everybody I think it's reasonable for the court to say, no, that's beyond the scope of what the judiciary is supposed to do. And that really should be the purview of the Supreme Court of the United States. So, we're going to see a lot more lawsuits come out with this. Issues not settled. The birthright citizenship question itself is probably not going to, Trump's probably not going to win on that. But this gives him some room right now. What's interesting is that this allows him to push his immigration agenda forward in the intervening time. And maybe there are some ramifications that come down the line. Maybe he ultimately loses on this. But it's opening the door for him to kind of go back and say, okay, we're gonna go back and try and do some things. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. It's a narrative thing as much as anything.
Another ruling today from the High Court says that a Texas law requiring adults to prove the age before accessing sexual material and pornography is legal. Now, in Utah, we have a similar law. What effect do you think that ruling will have here in Utah?
I think it just makes Utah's ruling that much stronger, right? This is, again, a kind of similar situation where when you have a court that's looking at a new issue, they'll sometimes look at other courts to see how have other courts decided on this issue in the past. Now you have both Utah and Texas who are making similar rulings on the same kind of issue. That only strengthens the case for the direction that this is headed right now. So I think this is a win. I think this is a win for Utah. I think it's a win for Texas, for conservatives who are concerned about this. And and it's the reason why it worked is because it was narrow in scope. They're just asking for age verification. They're not necessarily preventing people from getting to those sites. They're just saying, we want to make sure that you're not a kid, that you're not looking at this inappropriately. And so we're just going to ask you to verify your age. And that narrow tailoring of the law is a lot of the reason why this passed.
So while this does set a precedent, it doesn't actually impact the Utah case, does it?
I'm not really, unless, like I said, all it does is strengthen what Utah is doing and make the case for Utah's own laws, to be that much more influential.
Any other ruling by the court or opinion that you thought was interesting today?
Those are the two big ones. There are a lot of things that the court's doing right now. I think what's interesting to me is what we'll be watching. We're going to be watching this birthright citizenship issue play out, and we're likely going to see this end up right back before the Supreme Court, because even though the court didn't rule on the birthright citizenship issue today, we're likely going to see lawsuits pop up in multiple places. And depending on how they rule, if there are conflicting rulings, this could end up right back in front of the court as soon as next term.
The president coming out and saying he's pretty happy with the decisions today. How do you think this changes his kind of standing politically? And did we lose Aaron? Okay, I apologize. We have lost Erin Ryder. I did want to hear her take on that. And thank you for listening to Midday. We'll be back in just 30 seconds.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for Aurora.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
And you are listening to Midday. I believe we have Erin Ryder back on the line. And Erin, I was just asking you how you felt about these rulings today and how it affects the president's political standing.
Yeah, the president needs some wins right now. The big, beautiful bill is struggling. It's likely going to pass, but it's been rough, no question. And he's been in the fray with Iran and decisions there. This is definitely a win for him to say, hey, look, the courts are on our side, and all you activist courts that are coming after us, we're coming right back after you. So from the president's perspective, this is something that he can certainly claim as a win, even if it may be a short-term one.
Erin, appreciate you calling back. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Erin Ryder is an attorney and a former host here on KSL News Radio, and thanks so much for chatting with me. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour are friends, family, and complete strangers coming together to remember and honor Afa Alu tonight. Extreme athletes competing in Utah for the X Games, and let's check traffic with Michelle.
Looking at emergency traffic, Maria, this is eastbound I-80 just past Emory, headed over to the Utah-Wyoming border. It's miles of delays due to a crash. You'll want to delay travel or use an alternate. Maria?
KSL's top local story: a Vernal woman could potentially face some serious charges after police say she spread a white powder throughout a senior housing complex.
Uinta County Sheriff's deputies immediately evacuated the building yesterday when they got a call about a white powder in the hallways in the foyer and even spread on the administration office door. They wrote in a probable cause statement that there was also a sign posted that said the powder could be anthrax. A quick chemical test found the substance was actually the cleaning chemical borax. Deputies say they then followed powdery footsteps to Evelyn Collins' apartment. The 70-year-old was listening to the Johnny Cash song Hurt, and it was learned that she had recently been given an eviction notice. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Stage 1 fire restrictions will be in place statewide starting tomorrow because of the increased fire danger and extra dry conditions. Kaylee Guild with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire and State Land says this applies to most state and federal lands.
During Stage 1 fire restrictions, the following are prohibited. So campfires and open fires, they're not allowed outside approved campgrounds or like your home units with running water.
It also means no fireworks, smoking, or anything else that could spark a wildfire with these hot, dry conditions. The fire restrictions don't apply to private lands or within city limits, though many cities do have their own restrictions. Governor Cox is asking Utahns to pray for rain to help alleviate the drought and curb wildfires. He has declared Sunday to be a statewide day of prayer and fasting for rain. About 90% of the state is currently in either moderate or severe drought. The governor is also asking Utahns to do their part to save water by doing things like finding and fixing leaks and reducing water use. NASA is working to encourage the next round of space explorers right here in Utah. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Utah students in the Douglas Space and Science Foundation Star Camp are asking real astronauts questions about their life and work on the International Space Station. The kids from 1st to 10th grade are curious about the lifestyle in space and what experiments they're working on. The Star Camp hopes to encourage the students to pursue their goals in STEM and learn about out-of-this-world career opportunities here in Utah.
The Star Camp program uses in-classroom field trips, community events, and summer camps to give the kids an environment of belonging, curiosity, leadership, passion, and teamwork. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Looking at some delays, Maria, northbound I-15 as you're approaching the 6 South off-ramp to go into downtown. Southbound I-15 looking at the usual delays as you're going from Kaysville headed back toward Farmington. But we have a bigger problem. This is eastbound on I-80 just past Emory headed up to the Utah-Wyoming border. It's miles and miles of delays.
Looks terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. So if you can delay travel, I would really encourage it. It's due to a crash. Celebrate freedom in Paris, Idaho. 4th of July, Chuck Wagon breakfast and parade on the 5th, a 5K run, junior rodeo, craft vendor fair, and free concert. Visit bearlake.org for details. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Not much chance of rain all the way through Monday now, and high temperatures, highs in the mid-90s through the weekend, up to 99 degrees on Monday, and a possibility of some slight showers on Tuesday. 90 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our clients' portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Remember Afa in love. That's the message from friends and family of Afa Alu, the innocent man recently killed at a Salt Lake City protest. A celebration of life tonight to honor the life of fashion designer and proud Samoan Afa Alu. Anale Samasea is a friend of Afa's who also worked with him at Creative Pacific. And she tells me the celebration is open to any and everyone.
Tonight we are doing the celebration of life for Afa Alu. We will be at the Salt Lake Palace, the convention center down in downtown Salt Lake. This is going to be a huge celebration. We invite the public, the community, anybody who knew Afa, who knew of his work, who just wanted to come and support the family. We invite all to come.
So describe for us, this is a pretty big space, so you're expecting quite a few people.
We are. There has been such an outpouring of love across all communities. We are part of the Pacific Islander community here in Utah, which is a very large community, but we have gotten support from everybody. And so many people are touched and so hurt and devastated by the tragic way that he passed. And so many people have just reached out to us. So there was quite a demand that we have something for him. So Creative Pacific, which is the organization that he co-founded with Benjamin Powell, we are putting this on with the blessing and support of Afa's wife and the rest of his family, and just really as a way for people to come together, to heal, to support, and to share their memories and everything for Afa.
Explain the importance to the community to do something like this.
This is really important for us because I think we need closure. This was so shocking. It was so unexpected, of course, and it was such a tragic, horrible way to go. And I think we are just raw. We are hurting, and it is something for us to come together and to share and mourn and stand together with each other.
He was such a special person. We've heard such an outpouring from many people, emotional about what happened to him. This is kind of an outlet for those folks. What are you expecting to hear from people tonight?
I think everybody's going to be sharing their stories. We have a huge list of speakers. We, of course, are Pacific Islanders, so we love to celebrate. And we will be having musical numbers. We will be having Pacific Islander dance numbers. Alpha, his public life was very glitz and glam. So we are showing up and showing out today. And so we're asking everybody to come in a good spirit. This is a celebration. We want to celebrate him and his accomplishments. We are asking people to come in their big, bold, bright colors because that's what he loved. And so we have these performances from people within our community that are really there to dedicate their time, their talent, and everything that they can to show Alpha and his family how much he was loved.
What has been the reaction to the family for you, to you doing this type of celebration?
I think Alpha had a very public life. There was a very public side to him where he was always interviewed. He was on TV. He was on Project Runway. He would fly all over the world to do fashion shows. He created so many wonderful outfits and beautiful gowns for high-end celebrities. And, he was invited to Buckingham Palace by invitation of Queen Elizabeth to show his designs there. So there was that public side of him that we can't get away from. So we wanted to really celebrate that. And his wife knows that, and she is supportive of this. This is Creative Pacific's way of showing, the world what we think of Alpha. So we're very happy for that. They're going to have their own private funeral for him that is family and close friends. So that's something that they will be doing privately. But for the public, this is our big celebration of him.
For those who maybe aren't familiar with your culture, describe these performances and how they are different from other community celebrations.
Our Pacific Islander community and our culture is very much about demonstrating the love we have for somebody. So when you have a Pacific Islander dance, there's going to be a lot of performers, dancers who will be doing dances dedicated to Alpha. So whether it's in the movement or it's a song choice, the language, because a lot of them will be in Samoan, Alpha was Samoan, these are ways that we can express our love and our respect to him.
Any final thoughts for us? Stuff you'd like to add that maybe I haven't thought to ask you?
I think it's good that you're talking about the memorial itself. I appreciate that. It's been a little draining talking about the human side of him. I've been crying all morning, but this was great. The only thing I do want to say is doors open at 5 p.m. The celebration is scheduled to start at 6, but we encourage anybody to come no matter what time. This is going to be a long night, so I think it's going to be until about 9, 10 o'clock, which is a typical Pacific Islander funeral memorial. They're quite long, so people can come anytime they are able to, and they will still see just such an amazing celebration of life for Alpha Abu.
Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Maria.
Utah Representative Jake Fitissimano told Inside Sources that Alpha was inspiring, and some may know him from the show Project Runway.
He was someone who made arts and creativity and fashion, something cool, something that, young men and folks who might not typically be involved in those type of fields or those kinds of arts.
He also says Alpha was very active in the Pacific Islander community and would often teach others about fashion.
That was really fun to see folks, especially in a community that is often so stereotyped as maybe hyper-masculine or very just athletic and aggressive, and, doing well on the football field is kind of an emphasis. And so he was someone who was willing to break the mold and bring others along with him.
Alpha was the first Samoan fashion designer to participate in Project Runway. For For those planning to attend tonight's celebration of life, organizers ask that you remember that this is not a political event and to please come in love. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Extreme sports enthusiasts are in for some heart-pumping action as Salt Lake gets set to host its first ever Summer X Games. The three-day event brings together the world's top action sports athletes who fearlessly push the boundaries of their fields. Motorcycle, BMX, and skateboard athletes are vying for over $1 million in prize money. X Games CEO Jeremy Bloom is a two-time Olympian and a three-time men's skiing world champion.
I want to say thank you to the Salt Lake City community. You guys have shown up for us in a huge way. You've treated us like the Super Bowl coming to town, from the mayor's office to the police, the fire department. We appreciate you. And we've never been to Salt Lake before in our 30-year history. This is the first time ever here. It's a really incredible and unique opportunity for this community to see the world's best athletes for the first time ever at X Games in Salt Lake City. We've sold over 30,000 tickets. So the excitement is at an all-time high here. We expect over 10,000 fans per day. It'll be hot, so bring your sunscreen, and these athletes will make it even hotter.
It's a big deal because 30 cities across the world wanted to host the games. Among the athletes competing is 30-year-old Nigel Houston. He's a 15-time X Games skateboard street gold medalist who is poised to become the most medaled athlete in X Games history this weekend. Now, he says he knows that he has a target on his back as one of the older competitors.
It's so sick to still be out here with all the young guys and the young girls out there ripping. I mean, the fact that I skated my first X Games when I was 11, I think is still one of the craziest things to think I did in my career. Because especially at that time, it wasn't as normal to see so many young kids skating so good. But it was definitely intimidating. It definitely helped me grow up fast. But I was hungry, and I think the best part about the whole journey is to still be hungry these days and to still be feeling healthy, because, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the falls I've taken, so sometimes it's a little hard to believe. I'm a little roughed up from the streets right now, I'm not going to lie. But it's really just a love for skateboarding, you know. It's even after I'm not competing at a winning level anymore, I'm still going to be out there on my board for as long as humanly possible, and that's my main goal at this point, is to keep it going. I'm going to be 60, 70 grinding rails, watch.
One of the younger skateboarders this weekend is 14-year-old Arissa True. Now, she earned 5 X Games gold medals in just 2 years.
I just love skating, so when I look back, I just can see like my progression, and I just like want to push myself to just keep getting better and keep competing and just pushing the level of skateboarding, because like if somebody's progressing, it just like helps the whole sport progress. I think when one girl I see like does something crazy, or even like a boy, just anyone in skateboarding, it just like inspires me to like want to push harder and just keep learning crazy tricks. It's really fun competing with all the girls because I've been competing with them for a few years now, and we're all best friends, but we are really competitive with each other, but at the same time, we always have fun skating with each other and have a good time, so I just love skating with them all.
BMX gold medalist Ryan Williams is a fan favorite who consistently delivers never-been-seen tricks, but he's also a new dad, and fans are wondering how that might affect his mojo.
I feel like I actually haven't lost a contest since becoming a dad too, so I was actually a little bit worried about
how it was going to affect my mindset, because you don't want to, if you break your arm, like, oh, it sucks when you don't have a son, but then if you break your arm and you have a son, you can't like play with him, you can't hold him the same. So I was like, man, am I going to think like that? Am I going to be up the top of the roll and about to drop in and think about not being able to do something with my son because I hurt myself? But it just honestly made me more calculated. I've been calculated my whole career. I've never had one surgery in my life. So it kind of just heightened that sense of like, okay, what are you doing? What do you need to do? And just calculating what I'm about to drop in and do. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's been better. I've been a better rider since becoming a father. So I don't know if it's, I don't know. It's dad power. Dad strength is real.
And Colby Raha, who is an 11-time X Games Moto X medalist, is back on a gas-powered bike this year and could break his high air record of, get this, 56 feet 3 inches.
The quarter pipe is such a cool event. I'm grateful to be a part of it because it's probably one of the gnarlier ones. I think all of these events are gnarly, and the level is so high, and I have so much respect for everybody that is winning and doing well, because the level is just it's out of control. I can't even believe the stuff I'm watching. But our quarter pipe, it's pretty straightforward. We just go as high as we can and come down, and the heights are nuts, but I guess we're getting comfortable with that. But I know the other guys really want to win, so I think this one's going to come down to who's ready to push each other and outdo each other. And every year I get fired up. I'm competitive and I want to win, and I just turn the care switch off and just go for it.
If you want to just go for it, the X Games get underway today at the State Fair Park. Organizers expect around 10,000 spectators each day for the next 3 days. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll chat with the Arrow's John Smith about some of the other events happening this weekend around the state. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Michelle?
Maria, still looking at miles of delays for drivers if you're making your way eastbound on I-80 between Emory and the Utah-Wyoming border. Still miles of slowing. Traffic is starting to move a little bit more now, but just a heads up if you're going through that area. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
In today's digital world, outdated technology can slow you down. You need a partner who keeps you ahead of the curve. At Les Olson IT, we help your business thrive with top-tier office technology, from copiers and IT hardware to advanced IT services and security solutions. With Les Olson IT, you get more than just products. You get solutions, service, and a team that cares. Les Olson IT, empowering businesses with the tools for success.
Les Olson IT.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
On Thursday, August 7th, the Orrin G. Hatch Foundation will present U.S. Senator Tom Cotton with the Titan of Public Service Award at the Grand America Hotel in Salt Lake City. You're invited to join Senator Cotton, a senior member of the Senate leadership and chairman of the Intelligence Committee. The evening will also feature a performance by America's violinist Jenny Oakes Baker. Seats are limited, so reserve your tickets today for this special event at OrrinHatchFoundation.org. That's ORRIN Hatchfoundation.org.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. If you haven't solidified your weekend plans and you are still looking for some fun things to do, you have some unique options. Let's take our weekly look at what's happening with John Smith. It's Friday. That means John Smith from The Arrow has joined me to talk about cool things in Utah that you've been looking at. But today, you're going to just preview a video that's coming out next week.
Yes. So there's so much going on this summer that I've, trying to find time to go out and film these new spots.
Trying to
and
balance
like
things
that.
in your life.
We got invited to the Salt Lake City Police Department's crime lab. Wow. I just filmed this one this week, so we got to go look at all of their evidence and find out how they do fingerprints and find out how they do all of their CSI tips and tricks. They even let us play with a few things. So
I love it. Every time you do a video, it's someplace we can't go on our own.
There you go.
So you kind of give us that kind of secret stuff behind the scenes.
I'm not even sure how I got access to this one. They don't even tell people where it's at.
Ooh.
So, yeah, no public access to this one. So that'll
but
be coming out
next week. We're going to talk about that next Friday.
Correct.
But there are so many things happening this weekend. What's happening?
Well, 4th of July is just around the corner, which means everybody's looking for something to do outside. This weekend, you got the X Games, which means the best skateboarders and BMX riders in the world are going to be in town competing for $1 million.
What?
This weekend. Yeah, that's going on at the Fair Park. Not to mention you've got Deadmau5 playing tonight and Sublime playing tomorrow night, part of the X Games. That's going on. Plus the Utah Blues Festival, if X Games and EDM not your thing. The Utah Blues Festival happening all this week at the Gallivan Center starting tonight. And then Kesha going to be at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on Tuesday.
Okay. So
Also,
a lot of fun stuff to do.
Gotta mention this.
All right.
You know, my beloved Taylorsville, out on the west side.
Oh, yeah.
I'm born and raised in Taylorsville. It's my beloved home city. They are doing Taylorsville Days happening this weekend out on the west side. So,
I love how all of these communities have decided to have these wonderful community experiences every summer. It really makes a big difference.
and they do them on different weekends. So you can just go from each
Yeah.
one all summer long.
It was South Jordan Days or something just
Yeah,
last
you had
week.
West
and West Fest.
So this weekend, Taylorsville Days. Go Warriors.
All right. And next week, we're going to take a look at the Crime Lab.
That's right.
All right. Tell us where they can find your videos. You have a bunch of people. This is a great weekend, too, where it's going to be really hot to stay inside and watch a few cool
Stay inside,
videos.
watch my videos on YouTube. Give me those viewing hours. I need them. I'm like Tinkerbell. I die without applause. So if you go to YouTube and just type in cool stuff in Utah, you'll see my ugly mug and my horrible haircut all over the screen.
It hasn't been the mohawk the whole time, though, right?
No, it's gone back and forth.
Okay, so they can check it out. All right, thanks, John. Okay, check out John's videos. Cool stuff in Utah on YouTube, and the X Games. They are starting this afternoon at the State Fair Park if you want to get tickets for that as well.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
New fire restrictions going into effect across the state tonight.
During Stage 1 fire restrictions, the following are prohibited. So campfires and open fires, they're not allowed outside approved campgrounds or like your home units with running water.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, June 27th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the areas affected by the new restrictions, plus more Utah Fire Watch coverage of the Forsyth fire. Also this hour.
And according to a lot of sources and a lot of reports, Utah could continue to remain active.
How the Utah Mammoth are looking heading into tonight's NHL draft. But first, our top stories. The entire state will have more strict rules in place for fires starting first thing tomorrow. That's because of the extreme heat and dry conditions that raise the risk of the fire. It means no campfires outside of designated pits, plus no fireworks or explosive ammunition on most state and federal lands. Most cities have their own rules in place. Prosecutors are screening charges against a 70-year-old woman in Vernal who police say caused an anthrax scare. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Uinta County Sheriff's deputies rushed to evacuate a senior housing complex in Vernal after being told white powder was spread all around the complex. There was even a sign posted near the administration office door saying it could be anthrax. They used a testing kit to find out it was actually the cleaner borax. Deputies wrote in a probable cause statement they literally followed powdery footsteps to the apartment door of Evelyn Collins. She had recently been given an eviction notice.
Police classify anthrax as a deadly weapon, and she was booked in jail for the investigation of making a terroristic threat. New questions about birthright citizenship after today's Supreme Court ruling that district courts don't have the power to block the president's actions nationwide. Attorney General Pam Bondi answered questions about the decision alongside the president.
If there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire country.
President Trump's executive order revoking birthright citizenship stands for the time being. This morning's decision did not answer the question of whether that's constitutional. No one goes on vacation until President Trump's big, beautiful bill is passed. President Trump says he's given Congress a July 4th deadline for its passage.
They're doing fine. The parliamentarian's been a little difficult, and I would say that I disagree with the parliamentarian on some things, and on other ways he's been fine.
Lawmakers have been forced to make last-minute changes after Senate officials rejected changes to Medicaid. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, a big surge in the markets. The Dow ending the day up 432 points. That is a full percent, sitting at 43,819 at the close. S&P 500 up by 32 points, and the NASDAQ up by 105 points. That's about a 0.5%. Mixed reaction among tourists in Venice during the multi-day wedding celebration for Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and journalist Lauren Sanchez. Danielle is a tourist from Canada.
So far it's been nice, it's been pleasant, but I don't know how happy everyone else will be, especially the locals, that he's still doing it here, given that they were upset in the first place.
Yeah, there have been protests in the city. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Maria, we're still at emergency traffic for drivers making their way eastbound on I-80. This is between Emory and the Utah-Wyoming border. It is miles and miles of delays. It will start to improve a little bit, and then it comes right back again. And then also for drivers, just a heads up, 13th South, we have KSL Traffic Trooper Mark giving us heads up that they still have between 300 and 200 West closed down, and Trax is still shut down. So you'll need to use a bus bridge. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to need to walk around with a mister or a spray bottle this weekend with temperatures staying in the mid-90s. A lot of sunshine, so wear your sunscreen. And then it looks like our next chance of rain won't be until Tuesday, and at that, a 10% chance. 92 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Fires continue to burn around the state, and fire conditions also continue to worsen. We have hot, dry, and windy weather forecast for much of the state. Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Utah Fire Watch special coverage on KSL News Radio. Today, interagency fire officials expanded fire restrictions to include all state and unincorporated lands across the state.
So it doesn't matter which county you're in, if you're in state or unincorporated lands. This also is in addition to our federal land partners. The Bureau of Land Management, as well as the National Park Service, manage lands, and the Forest Service, with the exception of the UNO Wasatch Cache, the Ashley, and the Sawtooth, which all have lands within Utah.
Kayla Guild is the Prevention and Communications Coordinator for the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. She says incorporated cities and towns across the state are exempt from these orders. They each have their own restrictions that are set by the local fire departments and fire wardens. So what is included in these restrictions?
During stage 1 fire restrictions, the following are prohibited. So campfires and open fires, they're not allowed outside approved campgrounds or like your home units with running water. We do not have fireworks, pyrotechnics. Those are never allowed on public lands. Shooting or exploding targets, tracer ammo, those are never allowed, and they're never allowed on public lands again. Cutting, grinding, welding, that sort of thing, it's prohibited in really dry areas. And then operating equipment without a spark arrestor. That includes your ATVs, chainsaws, other small engines, and then smoking near outside vegetation, dry outside vegetation in wreck sites, vehicles, etc. They're not allowed. It's not allowed.
As these restrictions go into effect, Governor Spencer Cox is also calling on Utahns of all faiths to pray and fast for rain. He's declared this Sunday, June 29th, a statewide day of prayer and fasting for water in the hopes that it will help the state's current drought conditions. Now, the governor says there have been 380 fires this year so far, destroying more than 43,000 acres of land. In Washington County, hundreds of people evacuated due to the Forsyth fire were able to return to their homes this morning. They're not out of the woods just yet, though. The fire could very easily shift directions. KSL 5 TV's Daniel Woodruff has been down in southern Utah in the last few days following the latest on the fire, and he joins me now for some updates. And Daniel, first off, set the scene for us. How smoky have things been down there?
Well, Maria, it's been pretty smoky, and as we've gone into Pine Valley every day, that's where we've seen a lot of the smoke to the east. But Pine Valley, Grass Valley, and Gray's Ranch were those areas that were evacuated about a week ago when the flames just really got out of control, and 13 homes were destroyed, 4 other buildings. People have been anxiously awaiting to get back to their homes, and now finally, as of this morning, those residents only have been allowed to go back up the mountain to their properties, and they're basically on a standby to evacuate notice just in case. But the sheriff's office has determined that it is safe for them to be back, and the crews have been able to build a pretty good containment line around Pine Valley to sort of ensure the fact that these people can go back without really a major fear of flames coming back into the community.
Right. Can flames still be seen? I mean, how far away is the danger at this point?
The fire is large. It's burned over 10,000 acres. And from Pine Valley, at times you can still see flames, but off in the distance. And crews have been trying to build containment in other areas as well. But there are major portions of this fire that they haven't even gotten to yet. So it is big, and it is still expected to grow. But as I've spoken to officials, it seems like everyone sort of moved past this fear that these homes are in any imminent danger like they were just a couple of days ago.
So folks have been out of their homes for what, a week now? What has been their reaction that they finally are able to go home?
I spoke with one woman last night when they announced it at a town meeting, and she was crying. She was emotional and happy. She said it's a great relief to finally be able to get back. She said it's been a real week, to say the least, for people down there. And everyone we spoke with universally was just very happy and very anxious to get back up the mountain and at least see their homes. Some people told us they're going to stay there full time. Others may choose to do something different, but I think universally everybody breathed a sigh of relief when this happened.
You mentioned the number of structures that were destroyed by this fire, but most of the people who've been allowed to return, they all know that their homes are okay, or do they have any idea what condition, like smoke damage or anything like that?
Those we spoke with had reason to believe their homes were fine. Those that had their homes destroyed, we understand, actually were able to prearrange a visit with the sheriff's office to go up earlier and take photos so that their insurance companies could start the process of whatever they need to do. But those that we spoke with today believed their homes were there, they were fine, and they were excited to get back to them.
Okay, and fire officials, are they still concerned about the fire today and its behavior?
They're concerned about the fact that the weather in southwestern Utah, Washington County is getting hotter and drier, and the winds are picking up again. Now, they're not as high as they were a week ago. If you remember, the Forsyth fire really exploded because they were in just a red flag warning, high winds. It's not as bad as it was, but the last couple of days have been pretty good for firefighters. Now, though, the weather is turning again. It's much drier, it's much hotter, and the winds are kicking up to about 25 miles an hour. So that definitely complicates things for firefighters. They say that they expect containment will increase, but with that as well, acreage, the amount of acres burned, is also expected to grow as those winds kind of kick up over the next little bit.
Okay, Daniel, we appreciate the update, and people will watch tonight to see your coverage on KSL 5 TV. Thanks again for joining me. Remember, you can stay updated on the latest wildfires by visiting KSLNewsRadio.com. Just click on Utah Fire Watch at the top of the homepage. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Midday in just 60 seconds.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
This morning, President Trump celebrated several rulings issued by the U.S. Supreme Court. The president commenting on the decision which limits the use of nationwide injunctions by federal courts. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
President Trump took a victory lap Friday, making a rare appearance in the White House briefing room. He commented on the Supreme Court decision limiting the use of nationwide injunctions by federal courts.
The Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law.
The president said the administration will promptly proceed with plans to implement his executive order ending birthright citizenship, and signaled he would use this decision to move forward on other policies hit by injunctions. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Now, the ruling itself didn't address birthright citizenship, but that doesn't mean that everything is said and done. As you can expect, it's more complicated than that. Immigration attorney Adam Craig tells KSL News Radio's Adam Small the floodgates are open and lawsuits could clog the court system.
Right, and to be candid, though, even in the most conservative areas, even though there's no injunction now, I see injunctions being filed literally in every federal district across the nation, and essentially there's gonna be a pause, because you're not gonna want to do this. Will be such an uproar and so many issues, like Department of Vital Statistics all over across the nation where birth certificates are issued and other things. I mean, what are we going to do? What do we define that as? Do we register the birth? There's so many questions that come to mind that you just go, how? What do we do now?
Craig says there are still people currently in the deportation process, so there's still a lot of confusion.
Like currently there's close to 60,000 people in deportation proceedings. I mean, and a lot of those people are married and they're having children, right? And a lot of them are pregnant. They're living their normal lives. They're the ones that have come in lawfully. They're the ones that have been placed in deportation proceedings. The vast majority of them from Venezuela, Nicaragua, where there's dictators, there's other horrific things going on in their countries of origin. And all of a sudden to tell them, hey, we let you in lawfully. Hey, your child was going to be a citizen, but now they're not. Sorry. You can't use that kid anymore. There's no benefit. There's no right to having a child here. Don't have a normal life. Even though we've given you a work permit, we've allowed you to be here. We need you to not have a normal existence, knowing that if you have a child here, that child's not going to have a birth certificate that will relate to anything that relates to the state of Utah or the United States. I don't even know how to define what that's like anymore. How you can do that to people, especially so many that we've actually let in and put into proceedings and let them give and present their cases now. Not to mention the thousands and thousands and thousands of other legitimate good people who we have working every single day on our job sites, who are picking our food, who are building our houses, who are cleaning our hotel rooms, who are plumbing our everything. And to tell them, this really good couple whose kids are all in school and they're now pregnant with their fourth child, hey, guess what? All three of your other kids, they're all citizens, but this next one, sorry, not a citizen. This is another exact example of making a mountain out of a molehill, because you've really never been told, hey, what is the financial outlay with the birth of these citizen kids? What's really going on there? What are they really doing to cause an issue that is so wide scale of a problem that we need to do this?
That was immigration attorney Adam Craik speaking to KSL News Radio's Adam Small. Legal and political insider Aaron Ryder tells me that this ruling from the Supreme Court is just the kind of win President Trump needs right now.
Yeah, the president needs some wins right now. The big, beautiful bill is struggling. It's likely going to pass, but it's been rough, no question. And he's been in the fray with Iran and decisions there. This is definitely a win for him to say, hey, look, the courts are on our side, and all you activist courts that are coming after us, we're coming right back after you. So from the president's perspective, this is something that he can certainly claim as a win, even if it may be a short-term one.
We will continue to gather reaction to the Supreme Court cases and share updates as we get them. A playground for kids designed by kids. That story and its location in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Michelle?
We're at emergency traffic at this point, Maria. We have a crash northbound I-15 at the I-80 interchange, backing traffic up to about 4500 south. Southbound side, we have another crash as you're approaching the south interchange. And then, of course, those sizable delays on I-80. It's going to start in the Snyderville area, but then more delays pick up as you go east of Emory over to the Utah-Wyoming border. Celebrate freedom in Paris, Idaho. 4th of July check wagon, breakfast, and parade. On the 5th, a 5K run, junior rodeo, craft vendor fair, and free concert. Visit bearlake.org for details. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Over 3/4 of Americans will experience foot pain, and most will just live with that pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to change that. Here's Amanda from Provo.
I am an active woman, ex-Division I basketball player at BYU. By trade, I'm a PE teacher. Over the last 2 years is when my feet really started hurting.
And that's when Amanda's life changed with a visit to Foot Solutions in Orem.
My experience at Foot Solutions was so unique to any other experience I've had. Over an hour they spent with me, really going over my specific pain points.
After discovering so many solutions and custom in-house made orthotics, what does Amanda want you to know?
Invest in your health. Don't be cheap to your feet. Living a pain-free, active life again has been worth every cent.
Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
I'm Amanda from Provo. I'm 47 years old, and Foot Solutions has given me back a pain-free, active lifestyle.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, He saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
We are following breaking news on KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos on Midday. The U.S. stock market closing today at an all-time high. It's a remarkable recovery from a springtime plunge caused by tariff and trade policy worries. The S&P 500 rose 0.5% and finished above its previous record set in February. The NASDAQ Composite also gained 0.5% and set its own all-time high. The Dow Industrial Average rose 1%. President Trump's decision today to halt trade talks with Canada threatened to derail Wall Street's run to a record, but the market steadied. When you were a kid, you probably spent a lot of time on the playground. Did you ever think about creating your own playground? That would be a kid's dream come true, right? Well, it'll be more than just a dream for kids in the Fair Park neighborhood starting soon. A new playground at Madsen Park in Salt Lake City, designed by kids, will open in a couple of weeks. Today, volunteers are putting the final touches on all the special pieces.
We are having a community build where we are building a playground at Madsen Park here in Salt Lake City. And as you mentioned, the design is completely unique. We invited the community members about 2 months ago to come together and provide input into what kind of play equipment they wanted to have, as well as colors and other kind of beautification projects that they would like to see around Madsen Park. And we're really thrilled to be working with Salt Lake City Department of Public Lands and Morgan Stanley to put together this playground and work with over 150 volunteers to build the playground, mix the concrete, and kind of move in the surfacing necessary to make it a brand new space for kids to use.
Peter Christofferson is a project manager with the nonprofit organization Kaboom. He tells KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff about the unique effort.
There was a lot of creativity and thinking behind, how could we make this park special for community members that live here in the Fair Park community and also in the greater Salt Lake City area. One of the unique elements about Madsen Park is that the actual shape of the park resembles the state of Utah, right? And we're also located very close to the Jordan River. And so there's a lot of history. We're just across the street, across from, just down the street from the Fair Park. And so there's just a lot of, I think, unique elements for this specific project at Madsen Park. And these were all taken into consideration and worked into the playground design in some pretty creative ways. And we're really happy with the results. And we're actually really thrilled that what we're doing was kind of phase one of the playground renovation project. And so we're expecting that this playground will open later next month. And then next year, Salt Lake City Parks and Public Lands has plans to continue the renovation project by expanding the footprint of what we're building tomorrow and adding more additional play equipment and surfacing to make it an even brighter park and place for the kids in the community to play at.
Kaboom is a national nonprofit organization working to end play space inequity and to give kids more places to play.
We're based in the D.C. area, and we have been around for almost 30 years, during which time we built new or renovated over 17,000 play spaces across the country and within North America. So we've been doing this for a long time, but what really makes each and every project special is that we're looking for ways that we can include as much community input and feedback as possible in the design. So every one of our projects is a completely unique custom design that we work with our manufacturers and community members to kind of realize the vision of what makes a specific place special. And so our end goal is to not just provide a place to play for every child across the country, regardless of their zip code or where they grow up, but also that place would create a sense of belonging and be a place that is meaningful for them and their families, their loved ones and caregivers, the people that are spending time in that place.
Madsen Park is on Chicago Street in Salt Lake's Fair Park neighborhood. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The NHL draft begins in just a few hours. We'll talk about the Utah Mammoth and their chances to get a star player, how you can celebrate colonial history heading into the July 4th weekend, and KSL traffic. Michelle?
Maria, still looking at a lot of delays. We have bad traffic situations going on in the heart of the valley right now. We have a northbound crash that has cleared, but it's really got the traffic backed up headed toward downtown. Southbound is really bad as well. We have a crash at the South Interchange. KSL traffic trooper just called up to let us know that traffic is just crawling along there. And then a couple of trouble spots on I-80, the first approaching Silver Summit. The second is miles of delays due to a very serious accident close to the Utah-Wyoming border. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL's top local story, a local immigration attorney says he's disappointed about the Supreme Court's ruling on birthright citizenship and says it could impact thousands of immigrants here in Utah.
Utah immigration attorney Adam Craig tells me President Trump's executive order will have an immediate impact on immigrants in deportation proceedings. In some cases, judges will allow immigrants to stay in the country if they can prove they've lived here for 10 years and have a child who's a U.S. citizen. But since the president can roll this order out in places where it hasn't been blocked by a judge, including here, thousands of immigrants will no longer have that card to use.
That is KSL News Radio's Adam Small. Craig says he and attorneys around the country plan to ask lower court judges to block this order. A barbershop employee was seriously injured this morning after a pickup truck drove through a building in American Fork, destroying the brick wall of the shop. Brandon Beauchard with American Fork Fire says that this happened around 10 this morning at Anvil Barber Company at 52 East and Main Street.
We had 3 patients on scene. We had 2 minor injuries that were not transported, but we did transport one of the barbershop employees with serious injuries to a trauma center.
Beauchard says the crash led to a gas leak that Enbridge had to help help with. Other local stories KSL is following. Stage 1 fire restrictions will be in place statewide starting tomorrow because of the increased fire danger and extra dry conditions. Kaylee Guild with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands says this applies to most state and federal lands.
During Stage 1 fire restrictions, the following are are prohibited. So campfires and open fires, they're not allowed outside approved campgrounds or like your home units with running water.
It also means no fireworks, smoking, or anything else that could spark a wildfire with these hot, dry conditions. The fire restrictions do not apply to private lands or within city limits, though many cities do have their own restrictions. Taking a look at your money at this moment, it was a record-breaking day for Wall Street. The Dow ending up 1 full percent, ending up 432 points to break the record at 43,819. Both the S&P and the Nasdaq up by more than 0.5%. S&P up 32 points, the Nasdaq up by 106 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Thank you, Maria. We still have emergency traffic southbound I-15 backing up about 4,500 south to the south interchange. The crash is on the left, blocking the HOV lane. The Good Feet store supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Don't expect a break from these hot temperatures because there isn't one inside, not in the 7-day forecast. Mid-90s for the next few days, up to 99 degrees on Monday. Then on Tuesday, a very slight chance of showers and a little bit greater chance on Wednesday. Right now, 91 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM. When you need a new water heater, you need it right now.
Yep, can't wait on that.
When you need a new furnace or a new air conditioner come the summertime, you need it right now. So Superior Water and Air has a wonderful program where they can help you with financing. If you need it, get it today and pay it off when you get your tax refund or just over time.
And that's one of the great things is they have multiple financing options. It's not just one, okay, you've got to do it this way. It's, you can wait till just after your tax refund. Well, what if you need no payments until later in the year?
Yeah.
They can work with you like that because, look, they want to help you get you back on your feet with the thing that doesn't work that you got to use.
Yeah.
And they'll just work with your situation. What a great way to do it.
I loved introducing you to my friends at Superior because they're just great people. And when you invite somebody into your home, you want to feel good about them.
Yeah, and they're so customer-centric. That was what really impressed me was they wanted to work with me and my family, whatever needs we might have.
Right. They want your home to be safe and clean. Superior Water and Air. Here's the number, 801-872-8483, or go to superiorwaterandair.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. In just a couple of hours, the proverbial puck will drop, opening the NHL's annual draft. Here in Utah, that hasn't been as big a thing as the NBA draft, but that has all changed thanks to the Utah Mammoth, formerly known as the Utah Hockey Club. I spoke with KSL Sports Utah Mammoth digital insider Cole Bagley to see what things he's looking forward to in tonight's draft. How's the draft looking for the Utah Mammoth?
It's looking really good. You know, the hockey gods just continue to shine down on Salt Lake City. You know, when the NHL draft lottery took place, Utah was able to jump up 10 spots to the number 4 overall position, which is going to help them get a really good player. Not necessarily a superstar, but a player that, is going to complement this team and potentially help them, win a Stanley Cup here in the next few seasons. So very exciting, and a lot of momentum for the Mammoths just continues throughout the summer.
So is this the first draft for the team, or did they get to participate last year in the draft?
No, they got to participate last year. I think they had like 7 or 8 draft picks. So there's 7 rounds. And last year, Utah had 2 first-round picks. So they took T.J. Gimla, whose father played for the Calgary Flames for the majority of his career. And he actually played for Team Canada during the 2002 Winter Olympics and won gold with that team. His signature can actually be found at the Maverick Center on a particular wall in that building. So he's kind of a legacy player. So very exciting there. And then they took a young man named Cole Baudouin, who is currently playing in the juniors up in Canada. Same with Tej. So this will be Utah's second draft, but the first time as the Mammoth.
So describe for us what you're looking for in tonight's draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Utah, anything could happen. This is a team that's been very active. You know, they just were able to acquire a very good young player via trade. And according to a lot of sources and a lot of reports, Utah could continue to remain active. So I do think that they will end up making their draft selection. And, you know, like I said, there's a lot of talent up in the front. Usually the moneymaker picks are those top 5 selections. So to have number 4 means you're going to get a really good player if you do end up making that pick. Now, as I said, Utah is active, so it wouldn't shock me either if, you know, somebody, got on the phone with Bill Armstrong, the general manager, and said, hey, we really like the 4th pick, and we've got a player that can help you guys win now, more so fits your timeline. So we'll see what ends up happening. Like I said, I do expect them to make the pick, but it is the NHL draft, and as I've been told many times, you can kind of expect the unexpected to take place.
Any players that you are excited for?
Yeah, I think there's 2 guys that really stand out that Utah should be able to select. Porter Martone, he's a young Canadian wing who had a phenomenal season. He's been compared to Matthew and Brady Tkachuk, just given his size. He's 6'3". He's also very, very talented offensively with the puck on his stick, and he scores a lot of goals. And then the other player that I think has a good chance is Caleb Desnoyers. He actually was the league MVP for the QMJHL playoffs this last season. He had 30 points in 19 games, which puts him in the conversation with guys like Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, who played in that same league and averaged similar stats when they were his age. So those are 2 players that I would keep an eye on if Utah does in fact make that 4th overall selection, and I expect them both to be on the draft board when Utah's on the clock.
Describe for us the importance of today and the importance moving forward in the team's next season.
Yeah, it's very important. This is a big off season for the Mammoth as they begin to transition out of the rebuild stage and more into a competing window. It's still very early, but Utah is looking to make that next step in terms of making the playoffs. That's really been the goal, and they've been making decisions and acquisitions over this summer to help them do that. You know, they signed 2 of their young prospects out of Russia, Dmitry Simashev and Danil Boat. They just made a big trade here a few nights ago to acquire a young forward from the Buffalo Sabres who had 70 points last season, and now they can make this 4th overall pick or use it to go and get somebody else. So today's a big day because it's going to help continue to springboard this team towards not only making the playoffs, but gathering playoff experience for the next few seasons, so that maybe in 3, 4, 5 years they can really step into a championship window and really compete for a Stanley Cup.
Cole, thanks for being with me.
Absolutely.
KSL Sports' Cole Bagley there talking about tonight's NHL draft. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Selling or buying a home, you're losing a lot of money if you're not using the Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at Realty Path. Nothing compares to the Bank Buster loan. Home sellers, you get a quicker sell and a higher net price. How? The buyer of your home gets a rate as low as 4.75% with a payment that saves them hundreds every month. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate is not a seller concession that comes out of your pocket. It's all thanks to our affiliate lender, Save Right Mortgage, and their Bank Buster loan. Hire the Save Right Realtors when you sell or buy a home, and you automatically get a preferred lender and a Bank Buster loan. Buyers, you can start with a rate in the ones. Don't lose tens of thousands of your hard-earned money. Sell and buy your home with a Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
With all the confusion of tariffs and trade, you might be wondering when you should be buying new tech products. ABC's Mike Dubusky has some answers in today's tech trends.
Prices on popular tech devices like the iPhone 16 and the Nintendo Switch 2 have remained steady for now, despite fears the Trump administration's proposed tariffs could drive prices higher on foreign-made goods. But even still, Consumer Reports' Chris Raymond says if you're in the market for a new gadget, you can still move up your timeline.
We tell people try not to panic shop, but if there is an item that you have been planning to buy and the price is held steady and you have the money budgeted for it, like, go ahead and buy it.
And if you're looking to score a deal, there is another sector that could be safe from tariffs. Gadgets that have already been built, imported, and used.
You know, there you end up getting an item that is looks brand new. Even from Apple, it comes in the pristine box, right? You get another 1-year warranty. That's a great way to kind of save money on things.
Apple, Samsung, and others all now offer pre-owned programs. With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A Revolutionary War-era boat is being rebuilt after centuries buried beneath Manhattan. A team is reassembling the 600-piece puzzle one piece at a time. Now, the team painstakingly putting back together the timbers from the 50-foot vessel at the New York State Museum. Peter Fix with the Center for Maritime Conservation tells the Associated Press workers discovered the boat during a dig at Manhattan's World Trade Center site 15 years ago.
It was 22 feet below street grade, and they ran across it because they were working on a security section of the parking garage below the South Tower, or what had been the South Tower. And the excavator bucket just kind of picked up these timbers.
The timbers were buried more than 2 centuries earlier.
We don't know its full career yet, but our hypothesis is that it was built as a small gunboat. There were 13 of them that were actually built in the summer of 1775 in order to protect the Delaware River, Delaware Bay, and ultimately Philadelphia from incursions by the British. This is the same concept that Benedict Arnold employed on Lake Champlain when he built his armada to stop the British in 1776, coming down Lake Champlain.
Michael Lewis at the New York State Museum says the boat will become an exciting exhibit.
When visitors come in, they're going to see the reconstructed ship, or what the portion of the ship that we have. Like anything from the past, we have pieces of information. We don't have the whole story. So it's that fascination with what happened between 1775 and 1790 when it became part of the landfill.
Research assistants and volunteers spent weeks cleaning the timbers with picks and brushes before the reconstruction could ever begin. July 4th, 1 week away, you'll probably spend the day with parades and barbecues and, of course, fireworks. But how about some history? A little bit more than I just shared. I'll take you to Orem for the Colonial Heritage Festival in just a few minutes. But first, it is emergency traffic on KSL. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Michelle?
Yes, Maria, we are looking at a bit of a mess. This is southbound I-15. We had a crash that is just right by the south interchange. It's blocking the HOV lane, so it's really jamming up the works. People are trying to get through there. Once you get past that, though, the speeds are improving quite quickly. On the northbound side, we had an earlier crash there as well at the I-80 interchange, and so traffic is slow, starting right about 3300 south, headed up to the 6 south interchange, and then eastbound I-82 trouble spots of emergency traffic. One is approaching the Snyderville area due to a crash blocking the Silver Summit exit. And then also eastbound I-80 as you make your way towards the Utah-Wyoming border. We had a very serious crash that has about 10 miles of delays through that area. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have you seen those billboards that have a giant turtle on them that say, "Win a new air conditioner"? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you're probably wondering, what's that all about? Well, the turtle is a character in our new TV commercials that'll be airing this summer. I know it's kind of silly, but we're always trying to figure out how to grab attention and stand out in a crowded market. We thought a big turtle would do the trick. Another thing we're doing is every week this summer, Any Hour is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer. We're calling it the Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. This summer, if you get an estimate to replace your air conditioner or purchase a new air conditioner from Any Hour Services, you'll automatically be entered into our weekly drawing. If your name is drawn, Any Hour will pay for your air conditioner, up to $8,750. We just want to meet more homeowners that are in the market for a new air conditioner and have the chance to earn their business. We're confident that once you have an Any Hour technician in your home, you'll see why we have over 28,000 Google reviews. No purchase is necessary. See official rules at anyhour.com.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, you can win tickets to Western Stampede. Don't miss the West Jordan Stampede and Rodeo celebrating 70 years, July 3rd through the 5th. Or win tickets to Barry Manilow, coming to the Maverick Center for the last time on July 14th. Plus, win free tickets to Lagoon or an upcoming Real Salt Lake home match. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Independence Day right around the corner. If you're looking to celebrate the holiday in a more historic manner, you might want to check out the Colonial Heritage Festival. It's a chance to take a real-life step back in time to taste, see, and hear what it was really like during America's colonial days. I sat down with Chairperson Kim Gardner to learn how we can immerse ourselves into this patriotic event.
There are just amazing events throughout the country that show the reenactments and the living history of colonial life. But out here in the West, there aren't that many. And so we have an amazing free event for anyone, any age, any background, to come and witness a living history event, a living colonial village with just every aspect of colonial life that you could imagine would have been happening in 1776. It's at Sarah Park in Orem, Utah, and it's always a 3-day event, so it always happens over the July 4th holiday. This year it's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th from 9 to 5 every day. We start off with a cannon going off to show that we're starting the event. And then, like I said, we have just an entire village of artisans and skilled craftsmen and everything that would have been probably happening in a village or a small town in colonial America. We have that. We have the British soldiers, we have the American soldiers and militia.
Poise your firelock. Make ready. Take aim.
We have frontiersmen. Gosh, any aspect of colonial life, you can probably find it here at the Colonial Heritage Festival. We do have drills. The British soldiers, the American continental soldiers, and the militia, they do fire off their muskets. Like I said, we fire off the cannons.
Woo! And we are started.
So it's not necessarily a particular event, but it's life in that colonial era at the founding of our country. We have founding fathers that are there. We have, like I said, artisans, blacksmiths, and gunsmiths, and our village cooper, and the taverns, and the American kitchens.
I'm about to put the bird on to my little brazier here. The fire and the coals are looking really, really good.
I was able to trade some really nice spices with a farmer down the way by the name of Mr. Penzi.
Gosh, just everything. We've had people go to Colonial Williamsburg and they've come back to our event and they say, your event rivals Colonial Williamsburg as far as the interactivity and the engagement that the public can participate in, and it's free. Whereas you go back there and you have to pay a nice hefty penny, and you can't beat the ambiance of back east. But gosh, what we do for the public, it's amazing.
So describe the village for us. How have you made this more realistic?
So the people that participate are our reenactors, our living history interpreters. We are pretty picky about who comes to this event, who we let in. I know a lot of festivals will have a lot of vendors, and it becomes almost like a street flea market. We don't have vendors that we just let in. Our participants need to have period correct tents and equipment and tools and clothing.
The wax that we use is beeswax, and so then we just harvest.
Most of our people are acting as a character, a first-person character, so we try to stay in character all day long.
When I was only 5 years old, my father was killed in an accident, and my mother was not able to afford to raise the 6 children, so a couple of my sisters went to live with their uncle in Connecticut, and I then, as the man of the family, found myself to be in need of gainful work. I began my...
Our founders, who are particular characters of that colonial era, they are those characters. You would imagine that you are speaking with James Madison or with John Adams. You go to the blacksmith, and he is working with his forge and, fire on a 100-degree day in July in Utah, but he's there sweating. He's making all of his equipment and tools. You go to the cooper. He is in the middle of making his baskets.
This is a basket that I'm finishing. It's a gathering basket. It can be used for gathering whatever you needed to, or going to market if you so chose.
We have a colonial school for kids to participate in so that they learn the etiquette and the lessons of the day. We have tasting events. They get to try some recipes of the time, some biscuits or some breads. We'll have dandelion honey on sourdough bread at Breaking Bread with the Brits. We get to try shrubs, which is an actual vinegar drink. If you think of drinking vinegar, that sounds horrible, but it's lovely. It's almost like the Gatorade of the times. So people get to really be interactive and engaged in events that they can do, not just look at.
Why is this so important for you or for everyone?
You just can't get this experience in a textbook. And you're reading a textbook, it's great. You get the base level, but being immersed in an experience, is so much more grand, so much more important. We've had people walk away saying, wow, I've taken lots of history classes, but I learned more at this one day, or sometimes they come back for 2 or 3 because there's so much happening.
Most towns would have a scribe or someone that could read or write to assist the townsfolk as they are working or needing documents written or read for them.
It's the experience, and you remember those things. And I think that's how you gain a love and a passion for the founding of our country. Our history has not all good things. There's the uglies also, and those stories need to be told. We have Ona Judge as one of our characters. She was an enslaved part of the Washington family, and she's the one that ran away, and so we've got her there telling her story. We have Elizabeth Freeman, or Mum Bet, and we have Billy Lee. So all of those are African Americans that tell those stories. We have a Native American that tells, his story of living in colonial times. So the immersive experience is everything.
What does it take to put on an event like this? How many people are involved?
Oh my gosh. Well, this is a completely volunteer-run event. We're a 501c3 foundation, so it takes a lot of planning. I've been chairing the festival for 7 years. This is the 16th year at Sarah Park, and it's months and months and months. By the time we close out an event after the July event, and it takes a couple months to get all the paperwork and things closed out, I try to take some time off October, November, and then by golly, by December, January, you are in the planning stages again for it. We have over 60 exhibits and probably about 250 volunteers. A lot of our participants come from out of state even. And if you're in the reenactor world or if you're in the living history interpreter world, you have to be pretty selective about the events that you participate in, I guess you could say, because it's a lot of work to pack up all your items, travel to the event, unpack your items, set up your camps that you've probably put thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into over the years, portray your character and your skill to the public, and then take that all down, go home, unpack. Some people take a week off of work on their own dime. They travel, they camp in the park, and it's a labor of love. It's a passion for people to help teach the history and show what life was like at that time. So every volunteer that we have is just passionate about this event, and we have people who have come back year after year after year to do this, and we have new participants every year. So in the 7 years that I've been doing it, it's grown immensely, and it just continues to grow.
This is the very first printing of the Declaration of Independence. It may surprise you to learn that the first copies of the Declaration of Independence came off the printing press late in the night of July 4th, 1776. So we wasted no time in getting this printed.
We just want people to come and experience this. So many people in the state of Utah have never heard of this event. We're part of the Freedom Festival in Provo, and I think they told us we're the third largest event next to the Stadium of Fire and the Grand Parade. So it really is a huge, amazing event, and there's so much going on. I would say families could come and definitely spend the whole day. Some need to come back because there's so many events happening on the program that you say, oh my gosh, I want to see this, but I want to see this also, and they happen at the same time, so they come back the second day. So we hope people will come out to our free, amazing event.
And you can learn more about the Colonial Heritage Festival and everything with America's Freedom Festival by visiting freedomfestival.org. Jeff Kaplan is here for Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. Have a great weekend.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan, 91 degrees in Salt Lake City. KSL's top story. Strict fire prevention rules go into effect statewide tomorrow morning, and Sunday, the governor is calling on Utahns to fast and pray for rain. We have live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Let's begin with KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
Kaylee Guild with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Land says this applies to nearly all state and federal lands, including state and national parks, forest lands, and basically anywhere outside of private property within incorporated areas.